Welcome back to Phantom Files Official, your nightly destination for chilling, atmospheric horror tales drawn from forgotten history and whispered through the haunted corners of old towns where time itself seems to hesitate. Tonight marks day 4 of our relentless 100-day horror series, and what we have for you this evening is something truly eerie, a tale drenched in salt air, thick with mist, and clinging to the old stones of a forgotten landmark, a story that has lingered in the shadows of maritime folklore for over a century. The terrifying legend of the Blackridge Lighthouse. Nestled on a jagged cliffside overlooking a restless sea, Blackridge Lighthouse was built in 1878, intended as a beacon of safety for ships navigating the treacherous coastline of a tiny, isolated fishing town whose name has faded from most maps. Even before the tower's first light was lit, the land it stood on was cursed ground, according to the superstitious townsfolk, a place where ancient rites were performed by long-forgotten seafaring cults, who worshipped unnamed gods from beneath the waves. The elders spoke of rituals conducted on storm-battered nights, when chants carried on the wind and the waves glowed an unnatural blue, and fishermen told of hearing the ocean itself whisper their names, promising riches if only they'd offer something precious in return. The lighthouse's construction was plagued with accidents. Workers fell from scaffolding, tools vanished, strange symbols appeared in the mortar overnight, and several locals who protested its erection vanished without a trace. Their homes later found empty with tables set for dinner as if they simply walked away mid-meal. Yet despite these warnings, the Blackridge Lighthouse was completed, its whitewashed walls rising defiantly against the elements, and for a time, it stood as a proud symbol of defiance against nature's fury, until the disappearances began. No sign of Samuel was ever found. The first keeper, Samuel Greaves, a former whaler turned watchman, vanished within weeks of taking the post, his logbook ending mid-sentence on a fog-laden night with the unfinished words, "I hear them beneath the floor," save for his oil lamp still burning on the desk, and a trail of wet footprints, leading from the lantern room to the edge of the cliffs, where they abruptly vanished. It was said that the sea claimed them, or worse, yet the town, driven by necessity and fear of the coast's treacherous rocks. In the years that followed, 4 more men assumed the role of keeper, each vanishing in similarly inexplicable circumstances. One found hanging from the beacon's support beams, his eyes wide open in horror. Another disappeared entirely, leaving only a patch of dried salt and blood where his bed once lay. That the lighthouse itself, a structure built upon cursed ground, devoured them, continued to send keepers to Blackridge, each man doomed to face the horrors of the mist-shrouded tower alone. By 1937, the lighthouse had gained a grim reputation, spoken of only in hushed voices at the tavern. Tools moved of their own accord. It was then that a man named Elias Harper, a hardened sailor turned solitary lighthouse keeper, where old sailors swore they'd seen ghostly figures walking upon the waves and heard the bell buoy toll on windless nights. The voices began on his 3rd night, soft murmurs that drifted from the staircase. The tower seemed alive, the walls breathing in rhythm with the crashing waves. Its mournful chime announcing the arrival of storms not forecasted on any map, took the post, drawn by the promise of quiet isolation, and dismissing the villagers' whispered warnings as mere superstition. But from his first night on duty, Elias sensed something was wrong. The air thick with an unnatural humidity that left the skin clammy, and the hair perpetually damp. Whirling around, Elias found nothing, yet wet footprints marked the floor, leading from the window to the edge of the room. That night, the light went out for good. Books opened to pages detailing ancient rituals and languages Elias did not recognize, and the light atop the tower dimmed whenever the fog rolled in. As the decades passed, the town dwindled. His logbook lay bloodstained upon the desk. No trace of his body was ever recovered, though in the years that followed, its beam flickering as though suffocated by unseen hands. Paranormal teams, drawn by local legends, attempted to document the phenomenon in recent years, calling his name in tones both tender and malevolent, always seeming to retreat just beyond the reach of his flickering oil lamp. More disturbing still was the bell buoy. The original had long since been lost to the sea, yet its bell could still be heard tolling through the mist, each chime synchronized with the heartbeat-like pulse of the waves. Their final transmission ended with a chilling image of a pail. As the days bled into one another, Elias chronicled his experiences in meticulous detail within a logbook, noting how food would rot overnight. The legend of Blackridge Lighthouse endured. Scratches appeared upon the glass of the lantern room, and on more than one occasion, the light itself extinguished without cause, plunging the coastline into darkness. The team was never seen again. their equipment later recovered by locals, and to this day, even now, ships began wrecking upon the rocks again, despite his best efforts, and survivors spoke of seeing a pale figure atop the cliffs waving them inward with a lantern, before vanishing into the mist. Some claim the bell buoy tolls in perfect rhythm with the heartbeat of the sea, and so, if you ever find yourself near those jagged cliffs of Blackridge on a stormy night, turn back, avert your gaze, for some places are meant to remain forgotten. The final blow came on a storm-thickened night in November, when Elias, while ascending the spiral staircase, glimpsed a figure in the reflection of the lantern room's glass, a drowned man, skin bloated, eyes black. There are even tales of travelers, unaware of the legend, renting cottages along the coast only to disappear without explanation, seaweed trailing from his mouth like a grotesque beard. Shipwrecks continue near the site, with survivors reporting visions of a man in oilskins, his eyes hollow, waving them toward the rocks. The townsfolk, fearful of what they might find, waited until daylight before sending a search party, but Elias was gone, ending with the final, frantic entry, "The sea calls me. I must go." Several villagers claimed to see a lone figure standing atop the cliffs in storms, waving to unseen ships with a rusted lantern. The lighthouse was decommissioned, its glass shattered, stairs rusting, and the great light that once cut through the fog now forever dark, becoming little more than a cluster of weather-beaten cottages and a tavern, its remaining occupants leaving offerings on the shore, coins, trinkets, and candles in glass jars, hoping to appease whatever restless forces lingered at the Blackridge Lighthouse. Tales of spectral figures persisted, a child's laughter drifting through the fog, pale hands pressing against the glass, the lingering scent of salt and decay, and the bell's ghostly toll. One such team, filming a web series titled Coastal Phantoms, entered the ruins of the lighthouse armed with thermal cameras, EMF detectors, and audio recorders. They documented chilling evidence, unexplainable cold spots in the lantern room, a persistent knocking sound emanating from beneath the floorboards, and a shadow figure captured standing at the window moments before equipment failure. Grinning face reflected in the glass before the feed abruptly cut to static. The video remains one of the most terrifying pieces of lost media in the paranormal community, not merely as a ghost story, but as a grim reminder of mankind's tendency to build upon cursed ground and ignore the warnings of the past. Sailors claim to see the light spinning in the fog, despite the tower's shattered lens and rusted gears. The townsfolk, though few remain, still avoid the cliffs at night, and mothers warn their children not to venture near the shore after dusk, for the sea remembers its sacrifices and the dead hunger for company, a dark pulse connecting the world of the living with that of the lost. Their belongings left behind, the words return to the deep scrawled upon fogged windows, and you hear the mournful toll of a bell no one else can hear or glimpse a flickering light atop a crumbling tower. Do not follow it, and pray that the restless souls of the Blackridge Lighthouse do not mark you for their own. And some lights were never meant to shine again.